All right, everyone. Your host, Cy Smith, coming to you. This here statement is the last stands for this year, and I wanted to spend some time really training you on uh, two key things. One is the need for the structure. I think we all understand we need a system, so I'm not worried about the system, but it's structure, system, and then individual. SSI, structure, system, then individual. So this here is going to be, hopefully I can keep it at an hour, but it's a necessary video. It's a video that I hope I'm going to later be able to have people go to learn a little bit more about the bigger picture of what we're doing here. All right, so what I'm going to do here is start with the screen that you're looking at right now. So it starts with black people need our own structure. Black people need our own structure. I was hoping, give me 1 second here, you guys. I was trying to see. Um, Black people need our own structure, and I'm gonna be talking about why we need our own structure. But the big thing is we are up against a lot of stuff, and the problem is a lot of our good-hearted people are fighting individually and not getting information so that we can fight strategically. And I don't fault anyone if you haven't been taught how to do that. Then I understand that. But what you're going to learn here today, if you allow your heart to be open for this, you're going to see how the system is stacked against us, have always been, but how we are at a time that we've never had this much opportunity to turn the whole world around that we have now. And this is partly due to the season we're in right now. So black people need our own structure. I define what structure is. Structure is the design, the alignment, and the formation. The design, how something is put together, the alignment, what's linked to what, and the formation of people, places, and things. So that's what structure is. And that's important. That's an important distinction to keep in mind with everything you're going to hear me talking about is the design, the alignment, and the formation. And keep in mind now, I told you what SSI mean. SSI is structure, system, then individual. Structure, system, individual. We have 6 attacks happening to black people. 3 of them are outside attacks, 3 of them are inside attacks. The 3 outside attacks is isolation, starvation, and exploitation. That's what's happening to black people constantly around the world. And let me say this for the people who are not black. And they say, well, everyone has attacks. There's only 7 continents. There's only 7 continents. And one continent, which is Mother Africa, Alkebulan, is being attacked and has been attacked for its God given natural resources for a long time, for a very long time. And so I don't like hearing other groups compare themselves to the African struggle because they don't even have a continent, or if they do have a continent, their continent is not sitting in the land of milk and honey with all the natural resources God put in Africa. And because of that, their people want to be in that territory and take it, or they want to take the resources from there. So your struggle don't mount to what our struggle is. Trust me. It's no comparison. All right. So isolation, starvation, exploitation. We track the violence. That's what National Block Club University has been doing for a very long time. We track, monitor, and counter acts of violence across 167 of America's most dangerous neighborhoods. So, with that in mind, we get a chance to go door to door and hear directly from the people. So, with our 6 attacks, 3 external, the 3 internal attacks, we get to hear those internal attacks when we knock on the door. And the internal attacks is hurt, abuse, and bitterness, HAB. So I gave you ISE, isolation, starvation, exploitation, but now the inside attacks is hurt, abuse, and bitterness. So there's impacts for that. That's where some people say black hatred, we hate ourselves. All of that stems from the global attacks on black people. right? So every single black person, from my perspective, is living in response to this wannabe white supremacy structure globally, and this wannabe imperial, which really shows your cowardice and your vulnerability and your weakness when you feel like you have to dominate someone versus knowing that God allowed everyone to bring something different to the table. That's a secure person who understands that and don't try to suppress someone else's gift that God gave them. So anyway, going back to this slide you have here, black people need our own structure because the way the world is set up now is to take and keep black people on the bottom because of its natural resources and resolve and resiliency. So with that in mind, the second part is this is different from system. So structure is different from system. System is the interconnected parts operating under one united whole. So system is about doing. Structure is about the setup. That's a real clear distinction to have. One is static. You know, the building of a building, you know, is not what you do with that. It is what it is. I'm the father, no matter what. You can't say I'm not a father. If you are, you either is or you're not. In regards to that alignment, I am the father of this child. I might not be a good father, but that's part of the system, how I operate. Am I quality dad and all those things? So I just want to make sure we can separate the is what it is structure versus the system, which is how you operate. All right, so going down a little bit further here, it's set up now in the world, especially for black people, is when we so-called make it, when we have success, unfortunately, that means we move away from our black neighborhood because the isolation, starvation, exploitation have black people living in conditions that's not ideal. The violence, the rapes, the shootings, the robberies, you name it. So naturally, any human being will want reprieve. They want to get away from that. So because of that external factor, a lot of times we end up moving near more Europeans. European Americans. So we get away from our people when we get success and move closer to them who don't want you in the first place, who moved away from you. So that's a little backwards. But the second one I wrote on here is we buy European cars. Porsche, Lamborghini, Ferrari, all of these things are France, Italy, German cars. The forgot the major car, the Maybach, all of those things. That's success when you're driving around in a European car, even though there are African foreign cars as well made in Africa. But you know, we love Europe more than we love where we come from. It's like loving your oppressor more than you love yourself. That's the damage of isolation, starvation, exploitation. That's the damage of hurt, abuse, and bitterness. We buy European clothes. You see black celebrities rocking European everything from Tom Ford to Tommy Hilfiger to Dolce Gabbana, you name it. We are happy to wear the clothing of people who haven't even said sorry for what they did to your ancestors. We buy European jewelry, even though that jewelry comes from Africa. We pay exorbitant prices to so-called be approved by them. Again, showing the psychological damage that's been done to us. Then the last one I listed here, we buy European liquor. A lot of the liquor is owned by them, and we're talking about $500 billion a year. And a lot of times they use Puff Daddy and others to say it's their liquor, but they're just the name is still controlled by Europe. So those are just five examples that when we get success, so-called success, our resources go to these structures that exist now. Also, I have here third grade test scores are used to determine if new prisons are needed. Can't quote you the source, but it's been well documented on all type of news broadcasts, newspapers, etc. But it's out there. Just Google it and you'll see. So these are structures, you guys. These are structures. These are things that's designed, aligned, and formatted. So in red here, I got you can fight these structures, and we should push back on anything that's inhumane. So we should fight these structures, but we also need to be building. So it's not putting all our eggs in the fight basket. We also got to build. So it's not just fight, but build. We do both. Here the question is: you can fight these structures to create equity, or you can simply build your own structures. I chose to work with people who put more emphasis on building than fighting. There's a time and a place, so I believe in fighting too, but I care more about what we build. So here I listed the three structures that we've built. Um, we built a business structure, we built the academic structure, and we built the block structure. The purpose of the business structure is because we know a lot of what we're dealing with comes from the economy, production, distribution, consumption. A lot of stuff that's produced come from the motherland, Africa. So to keep Africa destabilized, always fighting against each other, off center, you can take resources, you can pit people against each other and extract. You can use, abuse them, you name it. So from the business structure side, we've taken 8 industries. We've taken 8 different industries, and we said, what if these 8 industries get in formation? Remember, that's what structure is. What if these 8 industries get in formation together? They're going to be able to have a bigger impact than if they stay doing their own thing. DMOT, doing my own thing. So, one example is anyone that makes clothes, apparel, any beautician, any chef, disc jockey, entertainer, restaurant owner, or seamstress. They together form one of 4 collective business structures. And so we, every first Wednesday of the month, concentrate on the apparel, beautician, chef, entertainers. We're actually lining up where these industries, these 8 industries, would then go out and have financial institutions creating special funds for them so that they can have access to funding to grow their businesses. That's the business structure. We have literally 39 different business industries all grouped into 4 different groups: the first Wednesday group, second Wednesday group, third Wednesday group, fourth Wednesday group. And this is so that no matter where we are, LA or Detroit, we know those industries, when they get in formation together, will be powerful to help have impact and grow and create jobs. So that's the business structure. If you look to the right, it says their structures. When I say their, that means people who isolate, starve, and exploit us, government, other ethnic groups, etc. So in this case for Chicago, the Invest West and South Side programs Lori Lightfoot kicked off. Good intentions. It sounded like want to invest on the west and south side, but the problem with government doing or leading something is it first has to start with the person, individual. And this is where we come in at. We operate a belief that we can do anything we put our mind to. We collectively can execute any agenda. So we have a do for self mentality first. And so when I hear West and South Side, that's fine. That's our tax resources. So you're just giving us back our money. But the first step is for us to pool our own dollars together so that we can show that we trust each other, that we're organized enough so that we can have the the intangibles to make any effort more successful. Because with the Invest in West Side, they're going to build a new buildings, and the same behavior we had of not coming together is going to cause them brand new places to just be empty, non-vibrant, everyone split up doing their own thing versus having them robust and rocking and rolling. So that's the problem with their structures versus us getting black businesses to get into these structures we're talking about so that we have vibrancy. The second one is the academic structure. So we already know third grade test scores are used to determine the new prisons. That's a structure. That's structural. That's not just happenstance. That's from LA to Boston. So what's the black structure for academics? Well, we've linked every grade, kindergarten through 12th grade, to different businesses. And the purpose of that linkage, the reason we do that is because if we don't do that, we will be all over the place trying to tutor, mentor, trying to help our children versus being structurally sound and coordinated. So all third graders, no matter where they at, all third graders, we link beauty supply store owners, carpenters, U.S. Marine veterans, and restaurants strategically to third graders. So because of the structure, we're confident that when people talk about the prison pipeline, we already know because of the structure who should be helping to dent that, who Who should be helping to prevent the prison population, them looking to see third grade test scores to see how many new prisons to build? Because we know our restaurants is investing in third graders. We know our Marine veterans are investing in third graders. We know our carpenters are investing in third graders. Our beauty supply store owners investing in third graders. So with those investments going on, prisons won't need to be built. So third graders are critical. I mean, these businesses being linked to third graders are critical to turn that dynamic around. I'll give you another example. All chefs are linked to ninth graders. All landlords are linked to ninth graders. So when we see vacant buildings, I immediately think about the landlord who owns their property and how they can be helping ninth graders, the freshmen out. So it's going to require Black people to refocus their thinking. Remember, SSI is structure system individual. To get out of the individual mindset, what me and my organization is doing, and think about how me and my organization can tap into this structure and system to make what God gave me to do better. To not tap into the structure and system is to just do my own thing. And that's a problem we have to overcome, Black people. The last one is the more complicated one, and this is the block structure. So I gave you the business structure, I gave you the academic structure. Now we're going to get the block structure. So I'm going to down a little bit further here so you can really see that. The block structure, I guess let me start by saying information is supreme. Information is supreme. If you don't believe that, then the rest of what I'm going to say will probably go over your head. Information is supreme. You can have all the nuclear weapons in the world, but if you don't have the information that your enemy is striking you before you can even return fire, that makes your response that much more weaker because you didn't have a heads up. Information is the heads up. Information allows you to prepare, respond, etc. So information is supreme to us. All right. With that being said, on every block in every neighborhood all over this country is all types of information on every block. We got carpenters on the block that have information about carpentry. We got nurses on the block who have information about your heart. We had teachers on the block, information about how to teach. It's information smorgasbord, block by block. And the problem with that is with all that information, if you're not structured in a way, you can't benefit from all that information sitting on your block. So you got everything you need and you can't maximize it because you're not organized. So what we've done, and this is important, this is the main reason I'm doing this, so you guys would know. What we've done with the block structure is we said let's make it more let's make it more where you can visualize it. So imagine your block, every one of these blocks in Black America being factories. Factories. I say factories because there's a kind of a thought process when you hear factory, you think about jobs, work, um, that don't require you to have all the degrees, and that's why I chose to use the word factories. So the key apparatus inside any factory is you got to have a product that you're producing. You got to have something that you're going to export. You can import whatever you need ingredient wise so that you can produce something that then someone is going to purchase. So information is everywhere all over, so we've had to take information and say only this information is what these blocks are going to focus on so that they can get really really good at it and they can dig really. And if someone trying to do every it's a part of a factory that's doing shipping and receiving. Okay, shipping and receiving, that's important distinction to write in your spirit. All right, so the question is, what are they receiving and what are they shipping? And this here goes back to the business structure and the academic structure. So on the block there are third graders. On many blocks there are third graders. So inside of third grade structure, all right, they're keeping a list of all the third graders. So that means they had to acquire the third graders information off your block all over. That creates jobs. Someone has to go and acquire where are the third graders all over the city. That's work. That's legitimate work. And guess what? You only got 9 months before that third grader goes to fourth grade. So there's some timeliness and some urgency to that as well. So that's one aspect. We know from the business aspect, once that factory finds the third graders all over the city, you got to work on their parents, win them over. So that's work to be done. Then you have to get in touch with the businesses that's linked to third graders. That's the restaurants, the Marines, the carpenters, the beauty supply owners. So once you get in touch with them, then you got to get them to agree to financially supporting the third graders. So when you mix the business owner's money with the third graders competitions, now you're producing something that's going to make the parents of the third graders say, I like that, I'm going to give my money as well. So you're going to have the business money and the parents money coming together to put people to work so that third graders can compete and win money. We can create jobs on the block. That's what the block structure is about. It's about taking every single block in every black neighborhood and creating vibrancy, because we're going to have people inside that block structure acquiring information. You're going to have people in the middle of the block processing that information. You're going to have people on the east side of that block managing it, storing it, and sharing that information. This allows us, no matter where we are in this whole country, in the world, what we caring about right now, what we do here in the US, to go in any block, any neighborhood, and create jobs because of the factory. Because information is supreme. Because information is a jewel. That's a dime. I just dropped you a dime. This is big, and government can't do this. It's not their job to do this. They have to care about all people. We're focused on black people. This is for black people because we're the most oppressed out of the world. Okay. So that's what this is. So I just gave you something powerful. All right. Now let's go to how we in Chicago. Okay. I'm gonna come to that one in a minute. Here we go. So this way it gets real complicated. This is the block structure. So this is the block structure. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to zoom in, but I want to first show you the big picture of it. So let me zoom out so you can see this. This here looks like a bunch of confusing crap. I get it. I get it. What I would suggest to you is to not try to eat the whole elephant. Just take the small parts of the elephant that you can chew. Don't try to do all of this, but it's important that I walk you through what this whole thing is. Okay. So when you look at this, there's 8 sections. We call them teams. All right. I think I can. No, I can't scribble on here. I was going to scribble on here. So anyway, you have the business team. As you can see there, those are villages that are, and I think I can. Let me. All right. So anyway, let me do this. So we got 8 teams: the business team, the protest team, the safety team, the education team, the construction team, the anti-racism team, the hunger team, and the legal team. So now I want to zoom in because this, but zoom in to specifically, which is the global headquarters. All right. This is big. Let me make it even bigger because this is okay. So this is probably the biggest I can make it here. Okay, so we go right over here and we go focus on the business side first because I want you guys to really see what we built here structurally. Okay, so all right. Now my computer wanted to mess up here. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Business. Okay, so team number one is 8 teams, but there's 108 villages or 108 groups that we're getting to work together as a factory. 108 factories, however you want to conceptualize in your head. The point is block by block, and inside block by block, we want them to collaborate jointly together. And so when you hear about shooting and killings in our neighborhood, it's a matter of what block did it happen on and what village is that, what 16 blocks is inside the area where that murder took place at, because we know we're going block by block to make sure residents are helping to create the factory that should put people to work so that they're not just hanging out, not collecting legal money, that they're traveling, going places, and they're working inside this factory or any other factory around the world. So let's go through these villages here. So this is village 1216, 1223, 1224. I would say this about the numbers, not that important for right now. They're extremely important, but not for this level of discussion. Just I want you to concentrate. Just look at the difference of the number these villages factory is. So we got a medical science factory. We have a science factory, a biology factory. Each one of these factories, remember, information is supreme. So what are these factories doing? They're shipping and receiving. What are they receiving? They're receiving. They're going out to find where are the scientists at, where are the biologists at, where are the veterinarians at, where are the Coast Guard veterans at, where are the Marine veterans at, where are the second graders at. So it's all type of information that need to be acquired 24/7, 7 days a week. You're as a household have information. Your husband might be a veterinarian, your wife might be an engineer. That's information we need to harness. Okay, so I just want you guys to know how massive this is, that literally every single, sorry about that, every single piece of information helps black people. And this just shows you that's the business team, engineer factory, technology factory, computer repair factory, disc jockey factory, photographer's factory, journalism factory, poetry factory, dentists and doctors factory, marketing factory, clerical, book authors factory. That's all just with team one business. Then we get down here to the protest team. All right, we already know in black, part of the three enemies hurting black people is isolation, starvation, exploitation. But team two, which is the protest team, fights against exploitation. We know that we have beauty supply stores, liquor stores, apparel stores, nail salon, gas station, corner stores, strategically in black America, taking our money out every freaking second. Protest team number two fights against that. They're structurally built to go against the oppressors who's taking our money out of our neighborhood, watching our children die, not giving a damn, just taking the money and leaving. But guess what? The more you get to know about team two and you start donating your dollar, we're going to see that change. So let's go through team two. Team two, I'm sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button here. Team two is the liquor store factory. They keep the list. Where are all the liquor stores at? Who owns them? What are they doing? That information is supreme. When we need to protest them, that's the information. Cellular stores. That bill is 2807. Looks at acquiring all that information. 2901. Where are the beauty supply stores that's owned by blacks? Where the beauty supply stores owned by the Asians? And once we know that, then we know the beauty supply stores owned by the blacks will be helping third graders out. Remember that? So now third grade parents have an interest in where they buy their hair products from because they know if they buying it from us, it's going to help a third grader out. 2903 Village, that factory is about where the gas stations at, the apparel stores for 2916, corner stores for 2957. They acquire this information for the whole city. 2958 nail salons. So I just want you guys to know structurally, structurally, this is built so that we can turn the corner for black life. So when I hear people, and we got great people who's out there protesting gas stations, that's individualism. And that's fine. We need individual efforts. Remember what SSI is: structure, system, individual. Structure, system, individual. So whatever group is out there protesting, shutting down apparel stores or beauty supply stores, God forbid something happened to that group, that happened to that group leader, the movement stops. By us being organized where we're building factories block by block inside the blocks, those blocks are going to be here when you and I are dead and gone. So as long as we get this anchored with your $1 a month, as long as we get this anchored, now that's a factory that can outlive all of us, because it just keeps on regenerating every single year. And your dollar finances it versus looking for outsiders to finance it. This is us financing it. So the dollar is everything here. All right. Let's move on to Team 3. All right. So team 3 here is our safety team. We have too much violence happening. Well, guess what? These factories, and Chatham is 60619, that they manage all of our missing persons. So we literally got a missing persons factory, and that's all they do: acquire information, who's missing, acquire information, where are these abandoned buildings. All right, now we know where we need to be searching for. Unsolved cases: son been murdered, daughter been murdered. I don't want to forget them. Guess what? Village 1918, Factory 1918 is helping with all unsolved cases. Navy, Marines, Army, all the military veterans, they're designed to help out on the safety side. Remember what I said, all Marines are linked to third graders. So you see how that keeps the academic structure tied into the business structure and who benefits our third graders in this case. So managing, processing, sharing, that's what they really are. Okay, so I wanted to really spend time on this so you guys can see why these villages are everything, because it makes job creation block by block. That's what that does. So we're going to go back up here a little bit with the rest of the safety team number 3, which is karate. Literally, there's a village on the west side of Chicago that manages all our people in martial arts so that they can help train our women on how to be in self-defense. That's part of safety. Our Marine veterans, our Air Force and Army veterans, Coast Guard veterans. That's factories block by block. There are groups of blocks that this is all we want them to focus on to create jobs inside their own blocks. All right, let's go now to the education. Okay, education is everything, right? So imagine every grade university. And inside this university, they're preparing for the next grade or they're helping the grade underneath them. So if you're in second grade university, you helping first grade university. You're in fourth grade university, you helping third grade university. Imagine fourth grade Summer Olympics, Fall Olympics, Spring Olympics. Imagine 12th grade Summer Olympics, Fall Olympics. So this is making sure that every grade has activity and action happening that's going to encourage, develop, and enrich our young people. Every single grade. And on top of that, they're getting the money because every grade, our academic structure is linked to the business structure. Structure is the key word, not organization, structure. Structure. So when you and I dead and gone, the structure stays. Construction team. So often, our elders in particular are giving money to other ethnic groups to do landscaping, to do roofing, to do electrical work. This is a travesty. You hungry and you're feeding someone else's kid instead of your kids. You take care of home first. And this is where we have to get these factories fully up and running so that we can create our own jobs, keep our own money in our own hands, just like every other ethnic group. So the village '09 through '03 carpenters, who has the list of all the carpenters? What factory went out there to acquire the list of all the carpenters? Who's the retired carpenters? Who are the kids that want to become carpenters? That's what carpentry factory would do. Electricians, 0934 factory will manage all the electricians, the plumbers, the painters, the sewing, the landscapers, the snow removal firms. The point is, in Black Chicago, we've carved out 16 blocks. We call them villages. That's really going to be a factory for one product. And that product is mainly information for a certain topic. And that's going to allow us to pull people together who's carpenters to get into the carpentry pipeline to help make sure that they're helping our third graders out. All right. The rest of them, team 6 is that's our race relations. So I'm gonna skip team 6 here. Let's get on over here to team 7 and 8. Okay. So let's go over here, then I'll be done with this aspect. Team 7 is our hunger team. All right, this matters. A lot of what we're dealing with is about the same evil ones and their descendants who had slaves, and now they're out there controlling, buying up the farmland to control the food. We as Black people need to make certain that we are supporting our farmers, that we're buying products from our farmers, and we encouraging our people to grow their own food. That's less pesticides, preservatives, all those things when we are doing it ourselves. And if we're talking to each other, we can buy from each other. What we've done here is we've carved out 16 blocks, and we said, can you focus on corn? Can you focus on broccoli? Can you focus on cucumbers? Can you focus on carrots? And if we're doing that, now we become interdependent on the next village. So if I'm growing carrots and I know you got broccoli, we got a reason to interact with each other. And now we get to create jobs inside all these villages on the west side. Austin manages all the city of Chicago lawyers for us. So Village 4400 is the lawyers, 4415 factory is for all the U.S. lawyers, 4427 is for all the suburban Illinois lawyers, judges 4438. So I just walked you through, and I can zoom out here so you can just see real quick. I just walked you through what this 108 villages look like. And the reason for this, you guys, is because we need our own structure as a people. As this slide here says, we need our own structure, not organization, but structure. The organization is individualism, and we need that individual touch. But first things first is, what is the structure like? I just went through our structure, you guys. This is our structure for Black people. So, having seen that, now let's go into this part here. This part shows you what we're trying to do. This is the who. This is the who. So you now know every village is doing one thing. Every single month, we go and we look for one person inside of every village so that we can build a relationship with. All right. So here you see the village numbers here. Sorry about that noise. You see the village numbers here. We do not know none of these people now who lives on each block, and we wrote down their name, phone number, and we mail out to them. So part of your $1 a month goes for postage. To mail out to all 108 is $65. Just so literally 65 people's $1 helps us to mail out to every one of these names here, every one of these names, and we know when we mail out to them, if they talk to us, we already know what we are going to ask from them, because you live in travel factory, you live in veterinarian factory, you live in second grade university factory, you live in corn factory. So we know what we're going to say to them. But when we talk to them, we're going to find out that they're a teacher. Now we get to link them to the teacher's factory. Their husband is a carpenter. We get to link them with the carpentry factory. So this is what structure and system looks like. The system is us doing the work of going door to door, finding out who's doing what so we can link them to the factory that makes sense for them. Okay. So I hope this helps. I really, really hope this helps. What I want to do right now is I'm going to stop sharing this one. I'm going to stop sharing this one. And I'm going to talk about the Super Bowl of anti-violence. And then I'll be done. So down packed to it. Sign. We have super duper every single day that is on once a month duty. Let me say that again. This is our system now, not our structure, our system. We have 108 blocks every single day that's on once a month duty, meaning we know we haven't bugged them in 30 days. So with the 4th of July coming up, this is the toughest time of the year to stop the shooting and killings. All right, 4th of July weekend. Memorial Day weekend is the playoffs. 4th of July weekend is the Super Bowl. That's how big it is. And anyone that's out talking about stopping the violence, if you can't pass the greatest test, i.e., Super Bowl, then you're not as good as you thought. You're not making the playoffs Memorial Day, so you're definitely not gonna get to the Super Bowl. I put this challenge out because with what you're hearing now, we do not have 1,000 people sending $1. This is ground zero problem. $1 is not going to hurt anyone. It's not going to prevent evictions. It's not going to prevent foreclosures. It's not going to prevent you doing majority of the things that you have to do. But it says something about the hurt, abuse, and bitterness of Black people that we haven't been able to get 1,000 Black people to send in $1. Like that shows you we're just not mentally there yet. And it takes videos like this to help push and hopefully inspire you to say, man, I like the plan. I like the structure. Let me do my part and let me get 10 family members, 10 friends, 10 people from the church, 10 people from the job to do the same. Because if money is put behind this, not grant money, not old pressers money, but us doing for self, this thing comes to life. So 1,000 people in the next 10 days are needed in order for this to take life. So the title of this video is "This is our last chance for the whole year to stop this violence." And so I want to explain that. So if we know our biggest test is 4th of July weekend, June 30th is the literally the Friday before the weekend kicks off and people are off work. And that's when mayhem unfortunately takes place, when people are off work, have too much time on their hands. What's the black plan? What's the black plan? I hear it in LA, Detroit, St. Louis, Miami. I hear literally the same thing. We're going to go out, pray, march. We're going to go and have activities. And I just want to say this. Um, that's cool. That stuff is cool, but that's tradition. Like we've been doing that. And where have that gotten us doing that? Like we always do those things. What is innovative, what is outside the box, what's different is if we create factories. If we turn the lights on the factories that's already been created, where we got shipping and receiving of information that's going to allow that shooter, before he becomes a shooter, that loves carpentry, to get connected with the 80-year-old retired carpenter. Now they're doing woodwork, which he loves, the retired carpenter, to go make sure he's eating. All right. So now we occupying his time, his mind, his development, and he getting a little money in his pocket, because we 46 million strong black people in the US when it comes to $1, $46 million strong to invest in our young people. So that's why the Super Bowl coming up is critical. Now, what I'm showing you here, and I'm gonna go to the website in a minute here. This is the 4 days that need to be covered in order for us to really impact the violence in Chicago. So, of course, Friday, June 30th is the deadline to get the money. The next day, I'm about to zoom in so you can see these blocks, which is July 1st. There's 108 blocks that literally we should be active on. If we're active in these 108 blocks, that's all of Black Chicago. That's 20 zip codes right here. The next day, Sunday, July 2nd, it's a different set of 108 blocks, but it's the next block over from the first day blocks. Then on Monday, the 3rd, it's the third block. In every one of these villages, then of course, 4th of July is the fourth block. So I showed you that. Let me zoom in so you guys can see a little bit better. But it tells us what exact blocks that we're on. Oh, I stopped sharing, so you guys can't see none of that. Sorry. Let me go back to sharing here. And while I was waiting for sharing, here we go. So I got it. Come on. Let me go back to sharing here. Come on. I probably got too many screens open because now it's freezing up on me. There we go. So let me go back to sharing real quick so you guys can see. Sorry about the delay. Okay. All right. So this is what I was sharing with you guys a minute ago. I'll walk you through as soon as it come up. So these are, you saw initially when I showed you the 8 teams and what each village does. Now we get into the details, what the blocks are. This here is very, very strategic. And I know it can give some people a headache. But as I said, the 4th of July weekend, we already know the exact blocks on Saturday, July 1st, where we should be at. Now, if we get 1,000 people to send us $1, it's go time. If we don't, it's not go time. It's that simple. So if you look at every one of these villages, it's telling you what block on Saturday, July 1st, we're going to be on. What are we doing on those blocks? The whole purpose of this whole structure is to get the factory going. So whether we on 67th and Parnell, 67th and May, whether we on 63rd and Rhodes, we got a factory. I showed you on the previous slide what each one of these villages or factories is designed to do. So village 3700, we know that's the disc jockeys Village. We know that's 67th in Michigan. We know in Disc Jockeys Village, they're linked to 11th graders. So they're going to financially help 11th graders. That's going to help 11th grade university out. Every freaking thing is tied together. Well, when we do one thing, it's supporting three other different things. So that's literally, that's Saturday. Look at this. Sunday, July 2nd, the very at midnight, it moves over to the next blocks. Now, on Village 3747 on Blue was 59th and Racine. The next day is 63rd and Ada. They both are walking distance, Racine and Ada. 3648 Village is 63rd and Honorary. The next day, 63rd and Damon. They're walking distance. So each village is walking distance to each other, and it's designed so that the people get to know each other. Each one of them are working in the factory, earning money, and more importantly, producing something that others need. We created vibrancy. We've created relevancy. We've created a reason to interact with each other, all because of the structure. So if you have all this happening, and literally the 4th of July, right there we go again. So this is on the 4th of July. We know, going back to Village 3647, we know we on that Monday we on 63rd and Troop. The next day we on 63rd and Ada again. So every day over this 96-hour window, we know exactly what blocks we're going to be on. Okay, so that's what I want to show you. It's being recorded, so we'll be able to circle back and watch this later. But now what I want to share with you is my screen, because I want you to know what the website does. So what the website does for all of us is the website allows us to know on any day what did those blocks on do. So this is our, let me walk you through when you first get on here. So okay, so let's shrink this. It's too big right now, so let's shrink this. Give it a second so it can shrink, you guys. Right now it's too big. Okay. All right. That didn't help. Let's get that back up to 100%. All right. So I thought I'd just shrink this page here. I know it's really big. So you want to go over here to the three lines here. You want to click those three lines, and you will see we have 48 tabs. So it's a lot of information here. But remember, just stay in your lane. Don't worry about doing everything else. So in your lane, you're looking for those 108 Chicago duty blocks. These are the blocks that's on duty. So this is how you read this, and this is important for you to know. If it's Sunday and you logging on Sunday, is it the first Sunday? That's YS1. Is it the second Sunday? YS2. Is it the third Sunday? YS3, or the fourth Sunday? So you need to know what Sunday it is. If it's Monday, just scroll down to Monday, and it's the same thing. Is it the first Monday, second Monday, third Monday? So whatever day it is, today is we're gonna say today is the third Friday. So you hit download. When you hit download, what I just shared with you pops up, but it's specific to today only. Today is Thursday, but it's the next day, Friday. Thursdays is our off day, just so you guys know. But this pops up, and what this does, it shows you specifically everything I just named to you, showed you before, but that's for that day. So these are the blocks on the third Friday that's on once a month duty. Why should you care about this if you're a non-for-profit? Because if you need flyers handed out, these the blocks that's going to hand it out. If you need someone to help you with a project, these the blocks we're going to be asking people, because this is part of the system. Every third Friday, that's when it's their turn to do something. Structurally, we know that village is for all of our carpenters. This village is for all our nurses. That's part of the structure. But systematically, we know this here is every third Friday. And you will literally be able to go any day of the week and find out who's on duty. That's it, y'all. So the website is www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com, www.nationalblockclubuniversity.com. We literally have to Friday the 30th. So we had one more week, 11 days to get it right. And if we don't get it right on my end, I'll be disappointed, but I will then just go into reactive mode. Right now, I'm in proactive mode. If we fail by Friday to get, a thousand people sending $1, then we're going reactive mode. And in reactive mode is unfortunate, but we're responding to what's already happened. Versus now, we know we need to be out there gathering that information, putting us in position to help people, and more importantly, bring the factories there. All right. 312-405-8840.